This is a short clip looking at the Visual Studies Framework. The Visual Studies Framework sets out to answer three main questions that are important to visual studies. What was created? How was it created? And why was it created? As you can see on the top of the graphic, the Visual Studies Framework is structured around 6 elements. The 6 elements are context, artists and artworks, analysis, art elements and design principles, media and areas of practice, and innovation and invention. These elements and their associated descriptions can be found on page 23 to 25 of the specification. The Visual Studies Framework elements guide students' engagement with visual studies in both practical and written work, as indicated by the arrows. The framework elements help students to understand what occurred before the period or movement being focused on, the period or movement itself, and any effects of the period or movement on later ideas or artwork. Whether students are engaged in practical classwork projects or studying the expression of visual culture, these elements should be used. The Visual Study Framework also outlines 3 main content areas as seen on the bottom of the graphic. All 3 content areas create opportunities for students to explore and engage in a variety of art experiences in both their practical and written work. This is indicated by the supporting arrows. Let's remind ourselves of the content areas which can be found on page 23 to 27 of the specification. Content Area 1, Europe and the Wider World. This broadly covers the canon of Western art from the Romanesque and Gothic periods to the present. The content area is divided into sections of focus. Take a moment and read the associated sections of focus for Content Area 1. Students will study artists and artworks that are most recognised with the chosen period or movement and best demonstrate the ideas, subjects, style, themes, genres and techniques of that period or movement. Content Area 2, Ireland and its place in the wider world. This broadly covers a selection of significant periods of art as experienced in Ireland across the centuries. Take a moment and read the associated sections of focus for Content Area 2. However, it is important that connections to Europe and the wider world are made where relevant. While Content Area 1 and 2 mainly reference the canon of art history, other areas of practice such as design, craftwork, architecture, urban or rural design, photography, film and more, where relevant, should also form part of the learning. Students must experience some of their visual studies work in person as they would any primary source. Content Area 3, Today's World. This broadly covers critical literacy and contextual inquiry to decode, decipher and make meaning from a range of art-led experiences. Students are encouraged to explore, experience and reflect on art and culture in their everyday lives through 4 sections of focus. Take a moment and read the associated sections of focus for Content Area 3. Students should also refer to the Visual Studies Framework when studying Content Area 3. For the written component, the students must choose one section of focus within Content Area 1 and one section of focus within Content Area 2. These must be studied using all 6 framework elements. This will support students to understand what occurred before, during, and after the period or movement. Students will study all sections of focus in Content Area 3, and students should refer to the descriptions of the sections of focus and the Visual Studies Framework elements when studying Content Area 3. It should also be noted that Content Area 3, Today's World, should not be seen in isolation, and students need to be made aware that links can be formed with Content Area 1 and 2. Students might engage in a unit of learning for a section of focus in Content Area 1 or 2, and in parallel, they may also participate in a related art-led experience for today's world. It is important that students are made aware of the connections between their study of the artist's work in a historical and contemporary context. As learners learn more about visual studies, it may influence their own thinking and making. The learner will become aware of the world of visual studies, how it can inform their own work and life, and thereby become more aware of their own place in a wider society. The three strands of art, research, create, and respond, serve to signify the importance of the symbiotic relationship between the learner, the practical work, and their understanding of the place of visual studies within their work. In all three strands, learners should experience examples of visual studies alongside the practical work. You can find further supports on the IJA website at ija.ie in the post-primary Art Senior Cycle section of the website. You can also find the Leaving Certificate Art specification online on ncca.ie and curriculumonline.ie, or you can contact us on info@ija.ie.